Hi, I am today in my lovely flat outside. Here in Bristol we have -3, but I am in my warm flat with lovely light, a nice atmosphere, incense, and I am very warm and happy. But how was my life when I was living on my narrowboat in London, especially in winter? It was a very hard life. Many people think that living on a narrowboat is romantic. Yes, it's romantic maybe if you stay on a narrowboat just for a few days on holiday in summer with your friends or your wife or your husband. But when you live alone, how I was in a winter in a narrowboat, 30 years old, not in a marina, but like a continuous cruiser, can be very hard. You can see on YouTube happy people around the canals in Birmingham, in London, in Manchester, saying the life on a narrowboat is fantastic and happy. Well guys, I live on a narrowboat for 2 years and can say this is not true. It's beautiful if you love the adventure, it's beautiful if you love the natures and the animals, because it's true, when you live on a narrowboat you are in another world. It's like going back 200 years ago when the canals in England were built. But also your life, your commodities are completely different than living in a flat. If you live in a marina, is different because you have the electricity, you can have an easy pump out, you can have water. But when you are a cruiser, like I was, because I wanted to save money in my with my license that I was paying at the River Trust Canal, or saving money because I didn't want to pay a very expensive mooring in the capital. The life is very hard, and now I explain why. First of all, in winter you need to warm your narrowboat, and a narrowboat, especially if is old, is not completely isolated. So it means if outside there are 0 degrees, inside your narrowboat can be 1 degree. You must warm the narrowboat, and the best solution in my view is coal, much better than wood. So you need to buy lots of bags of woods, and you need to carry on around your bucket, heavy bucket of coal. Where you put the coal depends on the length of your narrowboat. If it's a long narrowboat, it means about 45-50 feet, maybe inside, but it's a bit shorter. You need to put on top, on the roof of the narrowboat, and this means that you need to take your bucket, go on the top of the narrowboat. The metal is very cold because you are in winter, and especially this can happen in the night when you are coming back from your work, and you go on top of the narrowboat, and you need to put all the coal inside your bucket, go inside your narrowboat and start the fire. Start the fire is not fast like a switch on the heating. Start the fire needs a sort of knowledge, so you need kindling, you need paper, you need starter, you need coal, and you need a bit of wood. And the fire starts, but the warm inside the boat is not immediate. If your boat is at 1 degree, 2 degrees, you need 2 hours at least to have a warm environment. I mean a temperature around 18 degrees. Then remember, the fire died in the night, so you need to put an alarm in the night to wake up and go and add coal at the fire. So you need to be aware about this. There are not so many commodities if you live alone on a narrowboat, not in a marina, and you are cruising around the canals. Then the water can become very cold, and the ice of the water can affect the metal of your boat. And I still remember when I found my bottle of olive oil completely frozen. I was quite shocked. And it was during the period of the beast from the east. So in those days I decided to go to live in the house of my ex. He was an abusive, unfortunately, but it was much better than in that moment living in a frozen boat. Then you need a sort of vent that you put on top of your stove, and this vent is running thanks to the warm air, and the warm air is pushed towards the end of the narrowboat, so you have a constant temperature. Otherwise, next to your stove is very hot, and at the end of the boat is very cold. The problem is also when you have a shower, because sometimes the hot air doesn't go inside the cabin of your shower, so it's quite cold when you have your shower. And especially if you are a woman, you need to dry your hair. So usually the electricity on a standard narrowboat is 12 watt. So you need a converter to have your electricity to switch on the hair dryer and dry your hair. Another problem on the narrowboat is the electricity. This happens if you don't live in a marina, because the marina is different. You pay your mooring and the marina give you the electricity. So if you live on a narrowboat inside the marina, is a sort of flat, can be nice, but if you are a cruiser, remember the electricity in winter can be a massive problem. The electricity is generated on the narrowboat through the engine. So you need to run your engine at least 2 hours a day. But if you are not cruising and you are moored, you must run your engine when you are in your boat. And sometimes, especially if you live in London, you arrive late night, like 9, 10, and if you are surrounded by other narrowboat, it's not nice running your engine at 10, 11 p.m. So you need to organize your time to have during the day these 2 hours to run the engine. Many people think, I was thinking a good solution was the solar panel. But you are living in England, you are living in the north of Europe, and the sun is not very strong. In winter, the sun is not enough to generate electricity through a solar panel in your boat. I was checking my solar panel, but nothing. There was no electricity generated by the sun in winter. In summer was different, but in winter the electricity was generated only by the engine. But sometimes the batteries of your engine can be damaged, can suffer for the cold, and you arrive to start your engine. It happened to me so many times. I was becoming crazy, and the engine doesn't start because your batteries are flat. especially if you are not living all the time on your narrowboat, but just a few days a week. So you need to have that device that is used also for the car when the batteries are flat, where you connect red with red and blue with blue. But be very careful, you must know what you do, because you can kill yourself. The power of these batteries can be very strong, so you need to know what you are doing. Another thing is wash machine. You don't have usually on a narrowboat the wash machine if you are a cruiser, because he's consuming all your electricity. So you need to organize yourself to wash your clothes. In summer can be quite easy. You wash your clothes with a bit of soap and you dry outdoor. But in winter you need to organize yourself looking for a laundrette to do the wash and the dryer, or otherwise you need to use your friends, your partner, your family. These are all practical advices that I am giving people. Another problem depends if you have a car or you don't. If you have a car, it's much easier because you can go around with your car with your heavy stuff, included heavy bag of coal or heavy bag of wood, or your lingerie, all your stuff to wash. But if you don't have a car, you need to buy your coal, your wood, everything you need in the marinas. You must remember this. Don't do the mistake I did, that I bought some bags of wood far from my boat. It was not too much, it was just like 7-8 minutes walking, because the abusive partner that was abusing me mentally told me that he didn't want to bring my stuff with his car. I wanted my boat, and so I had to manage everything by myself. He was a very chic person, this guy of Swindon. So I had no time to go in a marina, also because the canals was frozen and I was scared to damage the engine of my boat. So I decided to buy a few bags of wood nearby my boat. I was in Alperton, in northwest of London. Well, guys, the first 3-4 minutes were fine. Carry on these heavy bags of wood, then my arms start to be very in pain. So I start just to bring this like desperate, and the bags were broken. All my wood was on the street, so I had to go to my boat and then come back, pick up other wood, and then go back to my bed. And the day after, I had a very strong pain in my arms. Then you need to move the boat every 2 weeks because you are a continuous cruiser, and this is the rules of the River Trust Canal. The River Trust Canal in London is very nasty. I don't know the situation outside London, but they are very rigid and they are not comprehensive about the boaters. They think that the continuous boaters are good money for their account. That's all. You pay your license and you need to respect the rules. But they don't care if you are a single woman living on a narrowboat and you try to moor in the same place for a safety reason. They look at the miles you do in a year, and London is quite big, and I was doing my 21 miles per year, but I was always between Little Venice and Uxbridge because I didn't want to do locks I bought my narrowboat in Birmingham, and I came from Birmingham to London, and I did 185 locks in 9 days, cruising 9 hours a day, and I was obsessed by locks. In one of them almost I died because my ex didn't care about me and probably tried to kill me in that occasion. So I was obsessed by lock, and I decided to avoid all the east of London from Little Venice towards the east, because there are a few locks and I was not feeling safe to do these locks alone. But I was going from Little Venice to Uxbridge and coming back doing my stop in here. They practically reduced my license. Fortunately, I sold my boat and so I fuck off River Trust Canal. But one day my boat was broken and I couldn't move the boat. I was awaiting the engineer of the River Rescue Canal that was quite busy because there were other boats in winter with the same problem at the batteries and electricity system. And so the River Trust Canal was phoning me quite often, asking when I was going to move my narrowboat. And one day I was so exasperated that I say, I give you my key, and if you can move the boat, go and move the boat, no problem. When you finish, you tell me where you are and come back and take the key, because I was exasperated. But anyway, in the winter you need to be prepared to cruise also in extreme condition, like it's today, -3, but you have finished your 15 days in the same mood and the water is not frozen, so River Trust Canal doesn't care. Cover yourself properly, dress yourself properly, and cruise and go to the next mooring. And cruising is not 10 minutes. Cruising with a narrowboat means hours, because you need to prepare the narrowboat. It's not like going inside the car, turn the key and the car is starting. No, the narrowboat needs to be checked. Oil, you need to unzip everything, take off all your stuff that is used to move the boat, and remember to take your hammer with you. Don't forget your hammer. I forgot my hammer one day. I was exasperated and I say, now how I can fix my boat without hammer? Yeah, so remember always to have a second hammer to hammer your boat. Just in case you lose one, you need the second hammer to use on to pick on the and moor your boat. So you need to cruise in extreme condition, and gloves are not very helpful. You need your hands most of the time free, because you need to manage rope, you need to use the tiller behind you, and it's better if your hands are free, so your hands are anyway frozen. And remember, if you cruise, don't switch on your stove, because otherwise you have all the smoke in your face. So you have to cruise, and when you arrive at destination, you start the fire. It means your boat inside is frozen. So this are some episode. I had some explanation of the romantic life on a narrowboat. So if you are a woman and you decide to live alone on a narrowboat, remember my words. If you live inside a narrowboat, inside a marina, it's fine. If you decide to be a cruiser, think well of what you are doing. Thank you for listening, and see you soon in the next video. Ciao!